2021. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderman at Large, Michael B. O'Brien.
Present. He's present.
Alderwoman at Large, Shoshana Kelly. Alderman Patricia Clee.
I'm here.
Alderwoman Elizabeth Lou.
Here.
And the clerk is here.
And Jim Donchis, the mayor, also.
Yes.
All right, we have a quorum. First, we have public comment. Is there any member of the public who would like to address the committee? All right, we'll go on to communications. First from Kelly Parkinson, Purchasing Manager. Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Mr. Mayor, I motion to accept, place on file, and approve the renewal of the Humane Society contract for fiscal year 2022 in an amount not to exceed $99,081. Funding will be through Department 109 Civic and Community Activities, Fund 56214, Humane Society, Animal Control.
All right, you've heard the motion. Now this, I think Bobby Bagley would be here to address this, but she is ill. The communication is from her is fairly self-explanatory.
Director Bagley is on the, on Zoom.
Pardon?
Director Bagley is on Zoom.
Oh, Director Bagley, are you on here?
Yes, good evening, Mayor. Good evening.
All right, I assumed you were under the weather or whatever. You are under the weather and you're here.
I am under the weather.
All right. Well, could you tell the committee about the contract?
Yes, sir. So the contract that we have with the Humane Society is for them to provide services for housing animals and dogs, cats, ferrets, and chickens if they're found. They also provide quarterly updates for us on all of the services that provide for those animals when they are housed at their facility. This is a contract that we've had in place for a number of years. The Humane Society has done a fantastic job with helping us to maintain and take and house these animals once they're brought in. And they also try to find homes for them as well.
All right, and this is, of course, a contract that has been, we've had with the Humane Society for many years. At least 20, I think, probably more. Any discussion or questions? Alderwoman Klee.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Director Bagley, we say chickens, but we don't mean roosters, correct? They do not pick up the roosters that are wandering around or in someone's yard. They don't pick them up for surrender, is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Alderwoman Lou.
Thank you. I don't know whether anyone from Humane Society is available. I had a couple of questions about our services. I wondered, like, how many cats and dogs we actually take in from the streets every year. But if he's not available and you don't know that, then I can certainly contact him tomorrow.
Director Bagley? Yes, go ahead. Do you have an answer to that?
Well, we actually do get a quarterly report. Alderman Lou, I can get that information and send that back. I don't have that readily available. I can double check really quickly to see what the last quarter report that did come back. If you give me just a few.
Well, we don't want to put you, I know if we're waiting, it'll probably take you 3 times as long, right? So Alderwoman Lou, would you mind if we came back to that after Ms. Bagley finds that?
I don't mind. Could I just ask one other question she may be more readily able to answer?
Go ahead.
Do we bring in dogs to put up for adoption? And if so, do these funds go toward spaying dogs that, are they subsidized by the city of Nashua? The spaying and neutering?
Alderman Lou, that I don't know. I do know that they do bring in dogs, and I do know that they do try and get families for the dogs. One of our staff actually adopted a dog. But as far as the contract covering spaying and neutering, I have to check that.
Okay, if you'd like to, or that's fine. I'll be in touch with
I
you.
think their budget is far more than this 99,000. So, I'm sure if they do spaying, I mean, I'm sure they've got quite a bit of other money. Of course, the contract is here, so it would, there's a scope of services, and it describes what they do, and I think if you look at it, it's sort of sections 1 through 9. It has to do with getting control of strays and other things like that, that are loose in Nashua, or taking care of these strays that are located. And it says nothing about neutering or any other related service.
Thank you. Yeah, that's something that I can always follow up on, and I understand that the contract hasn't gone up in many years, and so, thank you.
Director Bagley?
Yes, Mayor. So I did find the report. So they sent the first quarter's report in for January, February, and March. What they do not have is a cumulative number, and there's quite a few listed on for each month. They do work with making sure that they get the animals either adopted or returned to their owners from this report that I have here. And it looks like there are a few animals. I see a few animals that have actually been euthanized as well. So what I can do is I can forward this, Alderman Lou, if you'd like to have this quarterly report, I can forward this. Like I said, they don't have the cumulative number on the bottom of each month. They just list all of the animals that they've taken in, and they list the outcome.
Thank you. Yes, that would be fine. That'd be wonderful. Thank you.
All right, any other comments or questions?
Mr. Mayor?
Alderwoman Clee.
Thank you. Just as a side comment to Alderwoman Lou, I've adopted from them, and I had to pay the spaying fee. So I believe that it's the adopter who pays the spaying when it goes out. And I can't say that for a fact that the ones that they pick up, they do, but I do know that when I did adopt a dog from there, you either pay a spaying fee or you get the dog spayed, and you have to sign a paper within 7 days that the dog was spayed, and you bring that to the Humane Society. I'm assuming they're still doing the same practice.
Thank you, Alderman Clee.
All right. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next communication from Kelly Parkinson, Purchasing Manager. Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Mr. Mayor, motion to accept, place on file, and approve the contract with Outfront Media Advertising for fiscal year 2022 in an amount not to exceed $40,295. Funding will be through grants, $38,280.25 and $2,014.75 from general fund.
All right, and Ms. Bagley?
Yes, thank you. So the contract with Outfront Media is one that we are very excited about actually being able to have an annual contract with them. We've done work with this particular marketing agency for a number of years now. We use the company to help us get our billboards posted, as well as creating advertisements for all of the public health initiatives that we are working on. We have the opportunity to have billboards posted in several of our towns, surrounding towns, so not just in Nashua, but also in Milford and Merrimack, and other places where they have billboards. We've been able to push out information on our COVID vaccine, our STD HIV testing dates, World AIDS Day. And so this contract for us this year comes at a very timely time when we have to push out a great deal of information and communicate broadly our reach for our public health messaging. And this is the first time that we actually have set up an annual contract with them. The amount for this subcontract is about a little over $40,000. Last year, we spent about $43,000 with them, and were able to save by having an annual contract in place.
Questions or comments? Alderwoman Lou.
Thank you. So it seems as though the city's portion from the general fund will be between $2,000 and $3,000. I just wonder, as these bills come in, will we see a bill for $2,000 or $3,000 come through the record of expenditures? Or will we see, I'm not, just like some clarity on how that will look in the record of expenditures, if I could. I know some of it's coming from COVID and other grants.
Mr. Fredette, are you listening to that question? The entire amount would appear in the record of expenditures, right? Sure, yes. Yeah, it would be the entire amount.
Okay, and so the general fund will have up to $3,000 because that's 5%. And where will the rest show up? Is there a COVID account that I am not aware of?
Is there, David, are you familiar, Mr. Fredette, you meaning where in the budget or where?
In the past, it varies a lot, but often the grant is named that this is being charged to. But frequently, but it's not tonight. And I'm just looking for some understanding of how that will show up.
Now, is Ms. Parkinson on here? She on the call?
Yes, I am.
All right, do you have did you hear the question?
I did, and from what I remember, because Ms. Bagley and I had a conversation about this, there are several grants, I believe, that are funding this. So it's not one particular grant.
Ms.
May I
Bagley?
follow up?
Yes. So what we're doing is we're putting in a contract with them. So we'll have a payment authorization that will be set up, and so it'll be one amount that'll be encumbered, and it will list the grants that the funding is coming from. So we have several grants across community services and community health that support this entire contract, and so there'll be funds across the marketing line items from each of those grants. We have a COVID, and it's called the Enhanced Laboratories Detection Grant that we have for 3 years, and we put in a marketing line, and that will be specifically for the billboards and any of the marketing that covers COVID vaccination or COVID testing information, or any type of information that's promoting vaccination. We also will have from our HIV grant or STD grant lines, again, from the marketing line in each of those accounts. A certain amount of money will be contributed to this overall subcontract. So that will make up the amount in total of the 40,000. I think it's 40,100 or 40,200, whatever that amount is. It's an accumulation of funds from the marketing lines from all of those different grants. Because at different points in times throughout the year, we are actually promoting different public health initiatives. And so we had a poster that focused, a billboard that focused on mental health awareness. And so that will come under our substance misuse, BDAS, the Bureau of Alcohol Substance Misuse Grant. We have, I mentioned HIV awareness. And so in December, we put up a billboard that will cover promoting HIV awareness or AIDS awareness, and that will come from the marketing line under the HIV grant. So all of these will be listed under the subcontract and the information that was sent over to our finance department. All of those grants are listed with the amounts that are coming from each of those grants.
May I follow up?
Yeah.
Thank you. I can, again, follow up with them. I'm simply responding to something that I've read in the code, that when we make an appropriation in the Finance Committee, the source of funds are identified. And it sounds as though it's many, many different grants that all have a marketing line. Is that what you're saying? Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Alderwoman Clee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and this question is for Kelly Parkinson. Ms. Parkinson, it does say on this document that the $40,295 is the not-to-exceed contract, and that $38,280.25 is to come from the grants, and $2,014.75 to come from the city's general fund. Is that accurate? I know that Alderwoman Liu was talking about like a 5% or something, and that it was 3,000, close to 3,000. So I just wanted to make sure we have that on the record as being accurate per this letter.
That 5% is the $2,014.75.
Great.
Yes.
That's what I thought. I just wanted to make sure it was on the record. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next communication from Kelly Parkinson, Purchasing Manager, Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Mr. Mayor, I motion to accept, placed on file, and approve the purchase of 38 Second Chance SX02 Level 2 bulletproof vests from Atlantic Tactical of New Cumberland, Pennsylvania, in the amount not to exceed $34,380.50. Funding will be through Department 150 Police Department, Fund 61110, Protective Clothing.
All right, now is there anyone from the police department here?
No, it's me.
It's Kelly Parkinson. Okay, go ahead, Ms. Parkinson.
Miss Smith could not make it tonight, so I'm speaking to this and the next one. This is for 38 replacement vests for officers whose vests have come to the end of their warranty period. The vests that are at the end of the warranty period will not be taken, they'll be taken out of service and used for training on a go forward. It will also cover any new hires that are hired this year. It is in line. It's coming from grant funding from the 2020 Bulletproof Vest Partnership Grant and the Department Protective Clothing account. And the Atlantic Tactical is the supplier. That is a New Hampshire state contract.
All right, anybody? Could you please, excuse me. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next communication from Kelly Parkinson, Purchasing Manager, Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Mr. Mayor, I motion to accept, placed on file, and award the purchase of 277 cases of various ammunition and ammunition supplies from Eagle Point Gun T.J. Morris and Son of Thoroughfare, New Jersey, in the amount not to exceed $75,107.59. Funding will be through Department 150 Police Department, Fund 61121, Ammunition and Supplies.
Anyone? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Next communication from Kelly Parkinson, Purchasing Manager, Alderman Harriet Gathright.
I motion to accept and place on file and approve the 2-year contract to install and monitor 4 flow meters within the collection system to flow assessment of Auburn, New Hampshire, in the amount of $61,200. Funding will be through Department 169 Wastewater, Fund Wastewater, Account Classification 53, Professional Services.
Mr. Boucher?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Dave Boucher, wastewater superintendent. This is for a contract to install 4 additional flow meters into our interceptor system in the wastewater facility or throughout the city. Currently, we have 1 flow meter that measures all the flow throughout the city, and it's located at the wastewater plant. This would be to get a better understanding of how the flow moves through the city, also to detect any additional flows that may come through, give us a better understanding of where it's coming from. The company we're using is a company we currently have a contract with, and they have flow meters in our CSO sites. So they measure any flow that may discharge to the river. These 4 additional meters would constantly monitor flow. We get monthly reports, so we can use to have our better understanding of how the flow works. I can take any questions.
Anybody? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next communication from Kelly Parkinson, Purchasing Manager, Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Mr. Mayor, I motion to accept, placed on file, and approve the contract with Wright Pierce of Thompson, Maine, in an amount not to exceed $427,600 for construction administration services for the pump station upgrades Phase 2 project. Funding will be through Department 169 Wastewater Fund, SURF Loan, Activity, Pump Station Upgrades Phase 2.
Mr. Boucher?
This is a project that we have. It's Phase 2 of the pump station upgrades. Currently, we had the 6 of our 13 pump stations updated. This is to do the remaining 8 pump stations throughout the city. Wright Pierce is the engineering firm we had hired for Phase 1. We worked well with them. We'd like to have them as the construction phase engineers for the Phase 2 portion of our project upgrade.
Anyone? Questions, comments? Alderwoman Lou.
Will this also go forward to the full board at 400,000?
I think not, because it's not a multi-year contract and it's not over $1 million,
Okay.
correct? But the next one would.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passes. Next communication from Kelly Parkinson, Purchasing Manager, Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Mr. Mayor, I motion to accept, place on file, and approve the contract with Defelice Corporation of Dracut, Mass. in an amount not to exceed $5,335,200 for construction of the pump station upgrades Phase 2 project. Funding will be through Department 169 Wastewater Fund, SURF Loan, Activity, Pump Station Upgrades Phase 2.
Mr. Boucher?
Mayor? So DeFelice, well, this was put out to bid. We had 2 bids come in. DeFelice was the low bidder. DeFelice is the company that did the first phase of the project. We worked well with them. We'd like to use them for the Phase 2 pump station. I don't know, I'll take any questions.
Anyone? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion
No.
passed. Motion passes.
Take it one no, right?
Yes, voice vote, but so it's, do you wish to be recorded no, Alderwoman Lou?
Correct. Yes,
Okay.
I would like to.
A voice vote, but with the 1 recorded no vote. Next, communication from Kelly Parkinson, Purchasing Manager, Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Mr. Mayor, I motion to accept, place on file, and approve the installation of 3 supply fans in the wastewater facility blower building in the amount of $29,400. Funding will be through Department 169 Wastewater, Fund Wastewater, Account Classification, 81 Capital Outlay Improvements.
Mr. Boucher?
So the wastewater plant purchased 3 supply fans for our blower building. It's the building that houses our Turblex blowers that supply air to our process. The supply fans are important because the blowers generate a lot of heat. The 3 blowers or supply fans that were in there had reached their useful life. They're large, so we need a company to assist in installing these because they are suspended above piping at a 2nd-story elevation. So this company would come in and remove the old supply fans and install the new supply fans with the assistance of some rigging.
Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. The next 2 communications are for information only, not necessarily for approval, regarding some change orders. Unfinished business. Anybody, we have none, sorry. New business resolutions, none. New business ordinances, none. Record of expenditures. Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Mr. Mayor, I motion that the Finance Committee has complied with the city charter and ordinance pertaining to the record of expenditures for the period from July 2nd, 2021 to July 15th, 2021, and July 16th, 2021 to July 29th, 2021.
Discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Motion passes. General discussion. Any items of general discussion? Alderwoman Lou.
Yes, thank you. Is it possible to ask a few questions on the change order for the city hall
Yes,
renovation?
Mr. Boucher, are you still around? Because of course he's.
Yes, I am, Mayor.
Yes, there's going to be a question on one of the change orders. All right, so please ask your question.
It's the change order for city hall renovations.
Oh, that one, okay. Sorry, I thought it was the,
Can't answer that one.
I was thinking of the sewage treatment plant. So Ms. Kleiner is here to address any questions concerning that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I couldn't find any further description of these item charges than like cut-out metal base, and furnish and install 5 additional lights, relocate VAV and clerk ceiling. I may have missed something because,
No,
okay.
Go ahead.
no, Alderwoman Lou, you did not miss anything. I believe what we did provide to you this afternoon was a list that looked like this. And it is sent to us from DL King, the contractor. They list on here all of the change orders. Of course, the committee knows about them and we understand what they are. We've been working with this contractor for a year now. Certainly, if you had any questions concerning what each one particular was, we would be happy to provide you with more information. They're in a certain order, so you'll find everything. The beginning corrective actions were assessing, and then they moved to motor vehicles, and they moved to the city clerk, which is the order in which we progressed through the building.
I may be missing something. I'm not sure what you held up, but could we just cover relocate VAV and clerk's ceiling?
Certainly. So
What
that.
is a VAV?
So that particular change order was for some duct work that needed for our air handler to be moved and reconstructed, considering that we put up a wall now and you have desks areas and the room has been split into 2. We had to relocate some duct work for our airflow.
Okay.
That's what that is.
Would you bear with me and just tell me what it is that you held up so
Sure,
I
it was
can
attached to the email that I sent you this afternoon when you requested more information. And this is the change order
What was the
log.
file called? Do you know?
What was the what?
I believe it was the last one in the emails.
Okay, because I,
Attached to the emails that I sent out. And I'm happy to provide this to anybody.
Oh.
It's just a list. If you look on my memo, you see that there's a description and an amount. That's what Alderwoman Liu is speaking to. It matches the same description that is on this from DL King.
so I'm sorry, is that something we all received, or you sent it to me in response to my request?
I sent it to you. I
Okay.
sent DL King's to you in response to your request.
The last email you sent to me. Okay, is that right?
No, the first one.
Well, okay,
But she's saying that the same information is is part of the memo of July 11th. It's just that the colored exhibit that Ms. Kleiner sent to you, has red and green colors, but the same information is presented in the memo that's part of the agenda.
okay. So my question is, didn't the contract include ductwork? So why are we, didn't they bid on this particular, on this ductwork, or is this a change to the plans?
Excellent question, yes. So they did. There was some work done, and there was a change to the plan. So once we sat with the architect and we figured out how many spaces the city clerk need, how many desks, and then she asked for a standing desk as well. There was some changes made to that wall and the dimensions of that wall, which created the change to the ductwork.
But did you sit with the engineer before you put out the bid, or after you actually contracted with DL King? I just am trying to understand.
The architect, Dennis Myers, actually constructed the bid with us in the RFP that we put out to bid.
Okay.
So it was Dennis Myers' plans that were in the bid that was put out with the RFP. That was changed throughout the process of the project as things came up. Sometimes those plans need to be altered.
Okay, so this included an alteration. So, and what about reworking the countertop in the clerk's office? Why did that have to be done?
So once we changed that desk area for the addition of the standing desk in the city clerk's area, the counter had already been ordered per the original plans, and that needed to be reworked, which involved them cutting it to a different specification.
Okay, and the changes to the clerk's main entrance?
The changes to the main entrance was actually what we considered a better fit once we looked at the airflow that was going through the city clerk's office. There was some concern. The original plans had a door being put in the brick between the two sliding doors at the Elm Street entrance. The original plans called for a door being added there. Once we looked at the building and the changes that were being made to that wall, we determined that that may create too much cold airflow into that office. So the architect and the mechanical engineer actually suggested that we open up the entrance that currently existed, which was a single door, and make that a double door with an in and an out. So that was changed as well.
Okay. So, may I follow up?
Yes.
I read in the original RFP, in the original, can't think of what they're called, that, well, did we change our plans also for the booster, for the panel, the electric panel? Were changes made to that, or
We did.
changes there too? Okay.
So, Mayor Dantas,
Yes.
there were some additional fire suppression and some fire alarm apparatus that were added to the plan after working with the fire marshal. We had to add those to the city clerk's area. There were some also added to motor vehicles. The city clerk area additions required that electrical panel to have a booster in order to fit the supply.
I just, I have to ask how we couldn't predict that, but I don't know how that's done. So may I follow up?
Yes.
I'm just wondering, I know we're not voting on this because it's under 25,000, I assume,
Yes.
but it doesn't seem, okay, granted there is a reduction because did somebody not get plexiglass barriers on their desks? Or yeah?
That is correct. So the changes that were made to the specifications for the city clerk's area required less plexiglass needed. There was also less plexiglass needed in assessing earlier on. And I do, Alderwoman Liu, understand, I think, where you're coming from. Unfortunately, I have to kind of caution, when you open up a building of this age, there are things that you are going to find that no architect or no engineer could have predicted. We found those when we did this chamber, and we found those throughout this project. And I'll give you, for instance, it's one of the earlier change orders. When we opened the wall in assessing between the assessing office and the main hallway, we realized that that's a fire-rated wall. We realized those pipes and up above in the ceiling had not been protected and I'll look to Alderman O'Brien, who knows more about this than I do, they had not been insulated properly with fire-rated protection. We can't move forward at that point. We have to complete that, even though that may not have been done originally correctly. So with a building of this age, you're going to find those things, and we had an excellent architect that sat with us through every meeting of this project. And he and his mechanical staff looked at every change that D.L. King brought to us, and we relied heavily on their expertise.
Okay. May I just go back to one of the earlier change orders?
Certainly.
When the contract said abate all asbestos and lead paint, did that not cover the change order on November 26th that included abatement of insulation, asbestos insulation?
Excellent.
Going back,
Excellent question.
I don't mean to throw that at you, that was a while
Nope,
ago.
That's okay, and I fully understand your question. So we had some flooring in the motor vehicle area, which we knew contained some asbestos. We actually had a contractor come in and give us an estimate on how much that would be to remove that prior to going out for the bid. That's the area that the contract is speaking to. So it was well aware, it was a question asked during the walkthrough of the bid. What we did not realize was that there was another area within the building. So the contract specifically speaks to the area in motor vehicles, that the bidders were well aware of that during the walkthrough. It did not speak to this additional area, which we were unaware of.
Okay. I took a close look at this change order because I recently was disappointed to hear that there are mostly locked doors in the building now. And I didn't remember ever seeing that on the any change order. And shame on me for not looking closer because it was in the original bid. I think it's one thing to have, locks on doors, but is it necessary to keep them locked? This is a public building. Everyone in here is meant to be available to serve the public, and not everyone has time, the wherewithal, or the ability to call ahead and make an appointment. So if you can't walk in and make an appointment, then have a telephone number posted at every door that's locked, that's manned, a telephone number that's manned, because if our staff is not serving someone at that time and someone's outside the door, then, be available to address what that person drove to City Hall for. So that's what prompted me to look so closely at the change order, and to then, I was looking for when in the world did these locks on the doors come in? And I don't think I ever saw anything about additional cameras in hallways. I don't think I found that. But I'm not in favor of having the doors locked. If you need to lock them because there's no one in there, that's fine. But like I said, I think everyone, it's a shame to have someone drive to City Hall and they think they're going to be able to do business with, I don't know, and to find doors locked. Thank you.
Ms. Kleiner.
As a result of this project, there is no public access area that has a locked door. It does not exist. So prior, you entered assessing the main area to be serviced. There is a service area outside of assessing now, a service counter where the public would do business. That is not locked. There is a service area for tax. That is not locked. There is no area that the public would need to access that has a locked door as a result of this project.
May I follow up? I know where the locks are, and I always considered those public employees. Personnel, I don't know. So I'm a public person. I'm a member of the public. I want to go into personnel. I can't because it's locked. I have to make an appointment. I'd feel better if you could get through. I sat on the line for 3 minutes today trying to speak with city clerk. I mean, either improve your phone attendance or open up the doors. I mean, that's fine. If that is not a public part of the building, have you had problems before? I know there was one individual that you feel you had a problem with, but is this an ongoing, issue that people are coming and going into all kinds of members' offices? Or is it just?
Well, still, all of the city clerk's area is publicly accessible. Assessing is publicly accessible. motor vehicles, tax, all of the areas that the public uses are publicly accessible. I mean, I think what she's saying is, we have a finance person deep in some office. You know, does a member of the public want to or should just walk in, down hallways, down to someone's back office and just pop in and start asking a question of someone who really, their job is not, has nothing to do with just answering questions, but instead they're supposed to be working for 90,000 people. So I don't think it's unreasonable if you wanted to see this person, whoever this is, who's not involved in customer service, to make an appointment to see them if there's any reason to see them. I mean, I don't think we've received complaints about people who want to walk into the back offices and ask, just pop in and start asking questions of someone who isn't a customer service, a public service, isn't in a customer service or public service job.
Well, I respectfully disagree. And City Hall is more than, registering your car and paying your tax bill and that type of thing. It's more than that. It's, for some people, it's the center of their government. And when they have concerns for any reason, I don't understand why our city employees can't be available to them.
Well, of
But-
course, we're talking in these hypotheticals. Can you give us an example of a member of the public who wanted to ask a specific question of a specific individual who's made some kind of complaint about this?
Well, I think it's a principle, so I will answer your question,
All right, go ahead.
but I just want to be on record that I think this is a principle that I'm talking about. Now, if I named someone, a close friend of mine, who had complained to me, everyone in this room, I'm afraid.
Well, don't name them, but what employee did they want to see for what reason?
Several. I think they,
Can you
I
give us
don't
an
know
example?
why. I think they wanted to speak with possibly the treasurer, and the door was locked, and they were told, you can't go in there. And they said, I know I can't, the door's locked.
The treasurer is here, and he is accessible to the public.
This is nothing against the treasurer.
You just said that someone wanted to speak to the treasurer, and it was a problem because they couldn't just walk right into the treasurer's office, right?
Well,
Correct?
yes,
So the
yes.
treasurer is here.
Mayor,
Yes.
I did get somebody shared a concern with me last week. And I was going to talk to Kim about it because we do have to make some changes to it. But the old setup was nobody could still walk into my office because there was a gate there, if you remember.
Right.
And somebody had to let them into the gate. Now I have a door that's got a frosted window, so we don't even know who's out there, unfortunately. So maybe it should have been a clear window, I don't know. But, and it's locked, and so somebody has to knock on it. So I was gonna put up a sign with the phone number in case somebody wants to call, because one of the clerks can see somebody at the door, but if she's handling a customer, she can't just leave the customer to open up the door. So we need some kind of a switch or something to maybe open up the door. But, I mean, it was something that was brought to my attention last week, and I haven't had a chance to talk to Kim about it, but I did mention it to Jay, I think, today or yesterday, so, but.
So that correction he's trying to make, but I mean, this building was built in the setup that you saw before was built in the 1930s. Now, given some of the things that have happened, not some of a few of the things, the many, many things that have happened around the country, I can say that all cities are a lot more concerned about security than they used to be. You've had shootings and murders and killings, people who come in and yes, we'd all like to think that that would never happen here. That Nashua is too, good a community for anything like that to happen. But It's happened in a lot of other communities that never expected it. So, you can, you can belittle that concern, but having known mayors where those things did happen, I can tell you that, once it happens, no one says, oh my God, there should never be a locked door. So I think we've reached a reasonable compromise between making the areas of the building that are designed to serve the public very accessible, and yet other areas of the building where really there's no customer service function involved, available by appointment. All you gotta do, so I think it's an appropriate balance, and obviously, you said you disagree, and okay, but it is a disagreement, but I think there's a reasonable rationale for what's been done.
Okay, thank you.
Any other general discussion? All right, public
Excuse me.
comment. Is there any public comment from members of the public?
Excuse me, Ms. Mayor Donches, I think I had brought something up also that we didn't finish with, if I may.
Please go ahead.
Thanks. So we've inserted this deduction for plexiglass barriers in here. If it weren't there, this would be voted upon.
You want it voted on? Do you want it voted on?
No, I'd like just some guidance on what is normally done. And when the deduction for plexiglass came about.
When did the deduction for plexiglass come about?
So most of these change orders are brought to us in a group. So we're working in a particular area, and we identify all the particular changes within that area. So at the same time that that deduction for plexiglass was brought, we are also talking about installing the package drop box and changes to the main entrance. You'll find that these are all grouped in a specific area. So it's really brought as a package, and it's when we approved them, not necessarily, it could have been one day the plexiglass was brought, and the next day the furniture, the package box was brought. But at one meeting, they were all approved. They're all brought together.
Thank you. Thank you for answering my questions. I appreciate it.
All right, public comment. Does anybody want to, any member of the public wish to address the committee?
Yes, Lori Ortolano.
Please go ahead.
Lori Ortolano, 41 Berkeley Street. Just a couple quick things. The discussion about the locked doors is a concern to me. And I will tell you, I talked to Kim Kleiner about this last week. I don't agree with what you're saying here, Mr. Mayor. You brought up a safety issue that no one else brought up when I addressed it. And I think it's not relevant to what's going on. The offices that were open were finance. Don't describe it as down a hallway tucked in the back. The only reason it's located there is because we've got an old building built like a maze, and that's where they are. Now, you go down the hallway and it opens into a suite of offices. I used to be able to walk in there. Sometimes the door was propped open and just ask Rose if she could check a bill for me. I didn't do it often, but I will tell you, it was very convenient when I was in assessing or over in permits and I wanted something checked. I could do it. The other thing is human resources. I think I've gone in there 2 or 3 times to request a resume or a piece of information. I could walk in and ask. The third area is down next to assessing are the ladies who process abatement checks. My check address was incorrect. I walked in and asked them to correct it. I consider that city business. And these locked doors, I was told by Ms. Kleiner, it was the choice of the directors. I specifically asked her about Mr. Fredette's and John Griffin's office. And it was their choice to have those locks put on. She said she left it up to the directors to choose if they wanted them, and they did. I feel we should find new directors who don't want locks. So I disagree with you completely. Also, I sent an email out regarding, and this is a finance, a money issue. I'm speaking to you about it because I don't know who else to speak to about it. I sent an email out looking at risk exposure from the legal office. We run risk exposure reports for abatements and appeals. Risk management runs a risk exposure report or a liability report based on workers' comp and slip and falls and employee issues. But the third area that we have risk exposure is our lawsuits or pending lawsuits. And I didn't realize that that was held separately by the legal office. I have never seen any reporting on those risks and the number of suits we have running in legal. Now, I wrote a letter to the budget committee, and you were CC'd on it, Mr. Mayor, today, to ask a few questions about it and then request if there was a report that they provided to me. I got a response back from Rick Dowd telling me to, this question is best, this is best answered by legal, and any right to know request gets referred to legal. I let him know that I was confused by that because I was told to go to departments, but that also I had questions in my email, and legal isn't responsible for answering questions. Well, tonight, while you're sitting in this meeting, Attorney Bolton puts out one of his punch in the face emails that says the legal department represents the city and provides advice only to city officials and employees regarding city matters. Please do not ever advise anyone other than a city official or employee to contact us with questions. Please know, many right to know requests are not referred to the legal department. Well, obviously he's giving a reprimand to Rick Dowd, who clearly didn't know it wasn't supposed to be referred there. And I think your right to know training and understanding of what your departments are supposed to do is unclear. I spoke to a department this week that said to me, of course, you know, I have to bring this through legal. So I don't know what you're doing, but this email, and I don't know if Attorney Bolton's there, but I'm sure his ego is, it fills a room no matter where he is. I think it's obnoxious to write this. Handle that privately and train your people because they don't know. And I forwarded the email to Attorney Bolton as a right to know, but then told the committee, I'm asking questions and I feel the questions are yours to answer. So it's and I wrote an email to you maybe 3 weeks ago asking you to help me clarify what are the channels I'm supposed to use to get information. I received nothing. These type of scolding emails from your legal office are obnoxious. You really need a new corporation counsel. There's no, and I will tell you, I have called legal offices around the state. I have worked with legal offices to get right to know information and attorneys.
Ms.
Guess
Ortolano,
what?
we limit
You can
these.
call them and get
Ms.
questions
Ortolano, sorry, but we limit the public comment to 3 minutes, and, we're way over that right now. So could you just conclude, please?
Give me 30 more seconds because you didn't give me a warning like you usually do. So yes, I can
All
limit
right,
my
30
time and I
seconds.
will.
Go ahead, 30
But I will
seconds.
let you know. Thank you. I will let you know that other legal offices around the state, as well as the Attorney General's office, the Department of Revenue legal office, will take my phone call, work with me, answer questions, and help me understand how data is stored and maintained in their facilities to fill a right to know request. Your legal office refuses to do that, thereby driving up the cost, not only for all taxpayers. It's obnoxious. You need to dump Attorney Bolton and find somebody who wants to do that job as corporation counsel. Thank you.
All right, any other member of the public want to address the committee? If not, we'll go on to remarks by aldermen. Any aldermen wish to make remarks? Alderwoman Lou.
Thank you. I just wanted to propose something. Because this committee regularly votes on several contracts at a meeting, I'm proposing that we be provided a quarterly report of the contracts that are due to expire and be renewed. That would allow members of this committee and the full board of aldermen to a more effective time frame so that we can become informed and of the terms of the current contract and consider the record of service, the costs, and any changes that are proposed in a contracted renewal. Thank you.
Alderman O'Brien.
I really would like to know exactly what Alderman Lou is talking about. From what I've seen on some of the contracts and some of the things, and let's say, they could be a myriad of stuff. I am not really qualified to look at a bulldozer and say which is the best bulldozer to operate at landfill. And I recognize that the director of the landfill is quite capable to know what size bulldozer is needed. So we do, within the packets, get it, and it's been approved in the budget process. So I just don't understand. Is it, you want that information to counteract what the director is requesting for a bulldozer in the example?
Would you like me to respond?
Sure.
No, I may not have been as clear as I should have been. To some extent, I believe that when I vote on a contract, I should familiarize myself with what it is I'm saying yes to. And my only thought is, if we knew that, in the next quarter, these 15 contracts are going to expire and probably be, and have to, what I had thought was regularly occurring service that if we don't renew it, then we'll have to find someone new. It just gives a little bit of a heads up if I find one is particularly confusing or of interest to me, or if I want to know, well, I find, I don't know something about what we do contract, then I can do some upfront informing myself ahead of the 4-day time frame or 4 to 5 day time frame when I'll know about, say, 6 contracts that are being renewed. Does that not seem reasonable? I don't mean that I want a guarantee of what contracts will be coming up. I simply mean if from March to June, we've got, sometimes we have 6 contracts in one meeting. Not often, but sometimes there are 3, and other items to look into. And I just think it would be nice. I'm sure City Hall knows when contracts, has a ticker to know when contracts are coming due, just so that I'll know that if I want to look into what the current contract is and better review the contract I'll be voting on, that I'll have, maybe 2 or 3 months to look at that, or maybe 1 month. That's all.
I'm good, thank you.
Any other remarks by Alderman? Alderwoman Clee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this time, I'd like to motion the Finance Committee be adjourned at 8:04 p.m.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes, and the Finance Committee is adjourned at 8:04.